Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode 410 of the Hoots Podcast. Ready to rock and roll here on this Thursday, April 25th, 2024. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're all in good spirits. It's yours truly, the nefarious brother Adam, aka Joshie Lopez. Make sure to do me a quick favor. For those who are watching live on YouTube, please do us a favor and smash that subscribe button and the like button as well. And we appreciate the support. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so it'd be nice to get one of those plaques up there, which should be well deserved for this podcast. Speaking of the podcast, a lot of things in my life are right now coming to a point where it's very coincidental with a lot of different situations, and that it's episode 410. And also, this week is our 8-year anniversary of the podcast. So, I remember this like it's yesterday. Me and Adam Daly started this show right after WrestleMania 32. Here we are, we're just coming off the heels of WrestleMania 40, and this is our 8-year anniversary show. And I just wanted to say thank you all from the bottom of my heart for continuing to support this show for what it is, and letting me into your life and accepting me for who I am. We've had a lot of deep conversations and things that had nothing to do with wrestling. And there's a lot of things about this podcast that I'm very proud of that we've been able to bring along to you guys along the way. And to celebrate 8 years of doing this show, it's really it's meant a lot to me. In a couple weeks, I'll be having my 30th birthday on May 7th. And this past Monday, I scheduled my trip to Orlando, Florida. So I've been working on this for about a year and a half. The last trip that I had to myself was in Dallas for WrestleMania 38. And that was also work related too, but this type of trip is different. As many of you know that have been following along my transformation journey over this past year and just knowing the stuff that I overcame last year, I decided that I wanted to go back to Orlando as a award to myself for the things that I've been able to overcome and get my life back on track from a health point of view, and also from a mental point of view, just a complete transformation where I'm reminding myself that I'm undeniable and that I'm proud of who I am and I don't have to prove shit to anybody anymore. And I'm very excited about this trip coming up in June because I earned it. I'm paying it with my own money. I worked towards it and I deserved it. And I am going there to celebrate that, but it's also my birthday gift to myself for turning 30. And I'm very excited for it. So I'm going to be in the Florida area from June 4th to June 11th. I'll be there for a full week. I'm also going to be doing some scouting on apartments, maybe do some apartment tours. As many of you guys know, this is going to be my last year in the city of Chicago, so I need to do some more research about finding where my next home is going to be. But with it being the 8-year with it being the 8-year anniversary of this podcast, and just with the fact that I'm turning 30 in a couple weeks, my mind is running in a lot of different places from a reflection point of view, but in a good way. And I'm very, very excited for what this next chapter in my life is going to look like. Knowing that we already passed 10 episodes since we did episode 400, and with it calling it off by 500, this journey is going to go by fast. So I'm really trying my best to enjoy each of these episodes that we continue to dish out to you guys, because I know the end is coming soon, and I want these ones to stand out for every single one that we do. And you can check out the podcast free of charge anywhere you get your podcasts from: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, we got Google Play, Just type in the Hoots Podcast. It comes to you free of charge. And the podcast is now over 1.2 million downloads, which is crazy to think about. Anyways, other couple things I wanted to plug really quick for my own work. You can check out my transcripts at WrestlingHeadlines.com in the results section. I cover mainly WWE television shows and PLEs, so Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Speaking of the trip, I am actually planning to go to my first NXT show at the WWE Performance Center on June 4th, which is, going to be the go home show for their Battleground PLE that will be taking place out of Vegas on the 9th. So I will get some work done while I'm on my trip, but I'm really going to NXT is one of the main things I'm looking forward to for this trip in Florida. I never been to a show at the PC, and I wanted to go the last time I was in Florida, which was 2021. But I'm excited for it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. NXT, the brand has been kicking ass, and the brand is getting really hot with their product as they're getting ready to transition to the CW network very soon. And I'm just very excited to attend my very first NXT show. So there's a lot of things with this trip that I'm looking forward to. But yes, go check out my work at WrestlingHeadlines.com. And also, I talked about this last week, but we published the first episode, the pilot episode of the Resilient podcast with myself and Rob Aurelius. Rob is hosting the show. I'm blessed and grateful for the fact that he wanted me to be his co-host. And it's a mental health type of podcast, is a life podcast and everything in between. And we recorded episode 2 yesterday, and it got deep. Rob asked me some very personal questions, and I shared some stuff that I never shared before on any of these shows. So go check out the Resilient podcast whenever you get a chance. And I do appreciate the support for all of you. I really do. So thank you all for rocking with me. On this week's episode, we got a lot to get to. Happy draft day for the NFL. I'm very excited. I'm wearing blue today, obviously, to get ready for my Chicago Bears to have a fun night on the draft tonight. We'll see what happens. I guess with the Bears, you never know what could go wrong, will go wrong. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I'm very excited to check out the Pat McAfee simulcast of the draft with Bill Belichick. I'll probably have like the main draft feed on my TV, and then watch the McAfee stream on my computer. That's probably what I'll do tonight. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. And then tomorrow is night 1 of the 2024 WWE draft, and I'll be doing that as well for SmackDown transcript tomorrow night. But when it comes to the WWE draft specifically, I decided that I'm going to play a little GM here. I'm going to channel my inner Anna Pierce and Nick Aldis role here, and I'm going to be doing a mock draft of the WWE draft, and we'll do that this week at WWE. We'll do our back porch Q&A session. I got a lot of questions this week from Chris and Mike. Everybody that's watching us live right now, you can ask me a question. It can be about anything you want to know about me, wrestling related, sports. I'm open to anything, and we'll do that as well. Plus, we got the clown of the week. I'll get into that as well. And I know a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of you that are watching and listening to this right now are wondering my feelings on what I had to sit through last night watching on TBS with AEW Dynamite from Daly's Place. I'll explain more when we get into the segment, but this week's podcast will have the final edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW, and I'll explain why later on in this show. But we have a lot to get into for this week's episode, so I don't want to waste any more time. When we come back, we'll go into what happened this week in WWE. Plus, I'll recap the week 1 edition of NXT Spring Break-In, and then I'll do my mock draft of the WWE Draft 24 right here on Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hoots Podcast. How to talk about what happened this week in WWE. Lots to go over, man. I guess we should start with the Bloodline stuff because last week um, we had the initial debut of Tama Tonga to recap. This week, now we had to go over just the sheer chaos that happened in Pittsburgh this past Friday night, and you know. Things are not looking good for Paul Heyman, man. The guy just had his Hall of Fame speech. His tribal chief lost the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Jimmy Uso's got taken out. And Solo Sikoa has gone completely rogue and brought in Tama Tonga, who's completely unhinged. So, just when people think that the Bloodline stock is dropping and that the act of the Bloodline is getting stale, they continue to flip the script on everybody. Look, man, I have no idea where this is going with Tama Tonga and Solo, and I love every single second of it. I think it's great. Like I said, when Tama made his debut, I'm very happy for him because I think he's going to be a great fit in WWE. Plus, with the fact that he's added, now he's a part now of one of the greatest stories and acts in the history of professional wrestling, or as Paul Heyman said last week, the greatest premier act in WWE history, the Bloodline. Now that he's involved with it, I could be happy for him. Talk about having the opportunity to maximize your minutes. The guy hasn't cut a promo yet by himself. Maybe we'll get to that this week. Get to know who he is. What's the relationship between him and Solo Sikoa? Why is he here now? Um, who's the tribal chief that they're answering to now? I think Stevie Wonder can figure it out that possibly The Rock is now flipping the script in the bylines of what the bloodline is now that Roman Reigns is taking his hiatus and shooting movies and doing God knows what. Um, I'll say this, that just when you think that the bloodline act is getting stale, just like the Roddy Piper expression, just when you think you got answers, I change the questions, and I'm very excited for it. Honestly, a lot of people were popping over the fact that Kevin Owens got attacked and had blood dripping down his face. Then Nick Aldis was giving Heyman a stern warning about not having another attack like this on the draft special tomorrow night. And look, man, Nick Aldis is a fantastic general manager. I'm not surprised by it one bit. Not only his interactions with Heyman this past Friday, but the stuff with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and he's called them a clown down under. That's CLAHN. Make sure to write that down. A clown down under. So you got that scenario going on. But just the way Nick is carrying himself with these promos, he's probably not going to take shit off of anybody. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Solo and Tama Tonga try to hijack the draft tomorrow, and then both of these guys get suspended. Or something leads into Backlash where we get Solo versus Kevin Owens. You got different scenarios you can play around with this, but the question is still out there. When Solo and Tama have mentioned by orders of the tribal chief, who is the tribal chief right now? Ironically, Rock and Roman Reigns are off shooting movies. So who's the tribal chief? I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is Solo's opportunity to assume himself into the role that Roman Reigns said that he was destined to be in. Maybe Solo's running the bloodline. All I know is that I have more questions than I have answers, and I have more anticipation than I have fatigue with the bloodline. And it is the most premier act in the history of professional wrestling, and it's not close. And I'm very excited to see what happens tomorrow night. And who knows, maybe it's not Solo versus Kevin in France. Maybe it's Tama Tonga against Kevin Owens in France. You got a lot of different scenarios you can play around here, but from my personal point of view, I'm very excited for what we have in store for us when it comes to the Bloodline and Solo. Now getting the opportunity to cut more promos. He started to get booed out of the building like Dominic Mysterio. I think we're in for some good shit. So I'll be honest with you guys. I'm very, very excited for what's going on there. Um, there was a little bit of confusion on my end towards the end of SmackDown, not in a bad way, because I guess you could have saw it coming, where Tiffany Stratton was going to get herself involved with the Bayley and Naomi match. By the way, I'll give props where credit's due. Bayley and Naomi had a very good match um, for what it was, and I I heard her interview on that SmackDown Lowdown show, and basically saying that Naomi did not deserve the opportunity to be having that match in the first place because um, Naomi won via fluke against her. So she's salty about it. So on the premise, I understand that. Obviously, you want to elevate Tiffany Stratton's stock, which again, I don't blame WWE for doing that. I mean, look at the chick. She's hot. She's athletic. She cuts good promos. The crowd seems to be invested into her work so far, and she's a superstar that you can build your company around. Um, I just thought maybe hold it off for a while for her doing the disqualification because it leaves things up in the air. Are we going to get a triple threat match with her, Naomi, and Bayley at Backlash? Is this a way where Tiffany and Naomi have a grudge match on one of these episodes, either tomorrow night or the go home show? I don't know. So I thought the ending of SmackDown kind of left me confused because I'm not 100% sure where things are going with the ladies on the SmackDown end. Like I said, I liked the match with Bayley and Naomi. I thought it was very physical. Pittsburgh is kind of hit and miss as far as crowds are concerned. So for them to get that crowd interested in the main event after everything they already saw on the show, I think it's a testament to both these ladies. But that's the thing. So we do this triple threat match. Um, are we rushing a title onto Tiffany Stratton? Is Bayley a transitional champion? I don't think so. I don't think she would lose her first title defense. So there's questions up in the air on that end. I'm not confused in a bad way where I don't want to see Tiffany Stratton involved here, but I guess the idea is like get her name out there, have people talk about her, uh, and maybe after SummerSlam or maybe the Royal Rumble, Tiffany Stratton is your new women's champion. But she's going to be a pest for sure. She's definitely going to be a pest. So we'll have to see how that plays out. What else? I know a lot of people were very giddy about the title designs for the new um, WWE Tag Team Championships. I gotta get my lineage right. I gotta get the terms and phrase correct. So on Raw, it's the World Tag Team titles and the WWE Tag Team titles. For the women, it's the WWE Women's Championship and the Women's World Championship on Raw. And I know the draft's coming up. I'll say this really quick about the draft because I know a lot of people are having debates about the rules and stuff. Me personally, I don't mind the fact that the champions are staying in the specific brands because the whole thing where you're swapping titles because you got drafted to a different brand, I never been crazy about it. Now, it wasn't like me popping a blood vessel like all you were a couple years ago when they had that awkward exchange with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Me, when it comes to wrestling booking, is not that deep. But for me personally, I'm glad that the champions are staying where they need to be on the particular brand, so we're not confusing ourselves, seeing who goes where, yada yada yada. If you want my opinion, I would have been done with the brand split a long time ago. But with the cards that were being dealt here, and that there is a new regime here, I am willing to see how these go with a Triple H led brand split and how it goes from there. Um, I think for me, the concept is outdated. It doesn't need to happen anymore. But I don't know. Maybe I'm like the lone wrestling media member that's out there that's like, hey, you know what? Like, I don't need to watch the product anymore and analyze it as if Vince McMahon is still there making decisions because he's not. I don't have that like PTSD, if you will. Oh, so for example, right on Raw, Liv Morgan didn't become the women's champion after the Battle Royal. So, and also typical fashion on Twitter, people are throwing a hissy fit about it and saying, "Oh my gosh, she's buried. How can you not give Liv the title after she just won the just after she injured Rhea Ripley?" Okay, one, she hasn't shown anything on TV that she is a heel. You're running with that off of assumptions. And two, you're assuming that she's buried because you're just following trends of what Vince McMahon would do. He's not there. So I don't know what the brand split is going to look like within this regime. I'm willing to let it play out and see where it goes. But regardless of the changes that we see in this product, I think there's still people that have so much PTSD with Vince McMahon and everything that went on with the creative team there that's like people are still acting like he's still there. And he's not. Sometimes you got to understand the current predicament that you're in and go from there. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just old school. The fact that I see things for what they are, and I live in the moment, and I'm not tied down to trends that happened in the past or overly concerning myself with things that could happen in the future. I live in the present, folks. We are guaranteed one day at a time. And I have no time to waste energy on debating whether or not Vince McMahon is still around making decisions about booking. One, I don't care. And two, it's none of my business. So I just want to get that out there because I've been seeing a lot of whining and bitching and moaning towards Becky Lynch for her winning the championship. Yeah, Becky Lynch, one way or another, may be a transitional champion. And that's not a bad thing. When you have a division that's in flux, your top female star just got injured. Okay, Becky's the champion for now. She's an interim champion. That's not to say that Liv Morgan won't have the opportunity to take the title away from Becky, who did her wrong in the past as well. The Revenge Tour is not Rhea Ripley exclusive. Yeah, I get it. It's about Rhea Ripley as she wants the Women's World Championship. I get that. But there's also other people that are responsible for Liv Morgan getting into this headspace that she's in from a character point of view. You know what I mean? So as I'm watching this, I'm curious just as much as anybody else is. Where things are gonna go with Becky Lynch? Will she be a heel and lash out at the fans after the fans have been basically shitting on her for like I even seen people this week calling Becky Lynch the female Hulk Hogan. Are you kidding me? That's what we're doing. The female Hulk Hogan. That's the best that you got. The old man's not there, man. You need to get that out of your brain threshold. So, get some the negative stuff out of the way. Try to hit out some other things that stood out to me on program this week. I liked the match with DIY and Austin Truth. It was a good match. The spot with Ludwig Kaiser attacking Giovanni Vinci and sending him to the gulags was pretty funny, man. Um, the funniest trope in wrestling where something bad's going to happen, where you got the JAG security guards uh, bringing the guy up towards the aisleway, and you know that the wrestler is gonna do a loop around the ring and still do whatever he was planning to do, and then like Kaiser is playing coy with it. We've seen it happen before where he does that wraparound drop kick against the ring steps, And he did it to Xavier Woods a couple weeks ago. My bad, a couple months ago when New Day were having a rivalry with Imperium. We saw it happen. So I, I'm like, you guys are brutal. You have to be the worst security guards out there. Like he's gonna run around the ring, but still, it's still effective. I thought it was overdue. Um, they've already painted Giovanni Vinci as the weak link of the group, and it was time for a change. So I'm happy for Kaiser that he got that moment, and the crowd got interested. You got a holy shit chant for a guy that a lot of people think that people don't give a crap about. So whether Gunther was responsible or behind that attack on Giovanni Vinci, who knows? We'll have to see. But I thought Ludwig Kaiser had a very good night on Monday. And then, speaking of Gunther, he declared himself as a participant for the King of the Ring tournament this year. I'm very curious to see how that bracket is going to be laid out. I know that the finals will be taking place at the aforementioned King and Queen of the Ring PLE in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But hey, I'll throw it out there. For me personally, I would like to be the person that set up like the match brackets for the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. I think I do a good job of it, to be honest with you. So that's something to look forward to. And then my favorite part of Raw this week was the Drew McIntyre and Sheamus segment. I loved every single second of it. I think right now Drew McIntyre is doing the best promo work in the entire industry. I think he's doing the best character work in the entire industry right now. Um, when CM Punk comes back and he could really go, we're in for some real money making opportunities. And him getting himself into a program with Sheamus works for both guys. It gives Sheamus something to do to sink his teeth in as he's getting his feet back under him since coming back from injury. Plus, just seeing how everything is going on with these guys. The back and forth, Drew McIntyre doing the burger after burger after burger after burger. He's doing that line that popped me. Sheamus saying that basically McIntyre got his ass kicked by a one-armed CM Punk, and then the facial expressions that Drew had on his face after Sheamus said that was fantastic. I'm here for it. That was my favorite part of the show on Monday, but a lot of the unnecessary hate towards Becky Lynch this week on Twitter, especially, was just nauseating. To be honest with you, okay. Let's sit here with a straight face and tell me that you actually wanted Nia Jax to be your new women's world champion. Okay. Sure. Keep telling yourself that. Anyways, let's continue on here. So I went over Raw and SmackDown. Let's talk a little bit about the show that I covered on Tuesday, NXT Spring Break-In Week 1. I tell you, man, if you've been sleeping on the NXT product, you're really missing out right now because I really feel that for me, NXT has been having the most momentum out of all the brands in the WWE right now. It's the most consistently good written show from angles, buzz, anticipation. These men and women are kicking ass. The crowds there at the Performance Center have been really fun to watch and sit through. And it's another added bonus for me for the fact that I am going to Florida in June, and I'll get a chance to be there in person to watch an NXT show at the PC for the first time in person. I'm really excited for that. I really am. And I'm not just saying that because I cover the brand every week, but I want to be part of that energy. And someone like myself that's been part of the wrestling media for over a decade now, I know a lot of my colleagues are very like curmudgeon and bitter towards the industry as a whole, and and they have to carry that exterior with them. I'm not that type of person. Like it takes a lot for me to like pop and have like a mark out moment, but every time I watch NXT, and anytime I do an NXT transcript, the fan of me always comes out while I'm watching NXT, and it's good, man. Like how it started off with the triple threat for the NXT Women's Championship, where you have Roxanne Perez, you have Tatum Paxley, you got Liv Valkyria. Badass. He had three badass chicks. They're not the tallest muscular women of the world, but they're beating the crap out of each other. It was a good match. Um, Baron Corbin and Lexis King, I thought was a solid match. We got to see. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head because there was a lot of matches on Tuesday. I gotta pull this up so I'm accurate with you guys here. Um, you know, from there, after we had the triple threat, it was the D'Angelo family against No Quarter Catch Crew, the 6-man tag match. There was a lot of action. That match went a little too long for my liking, but I thought it was decent. Jada Parker. Oh, Miss Parker. um, the contract signing with Natalia and Lola Vice, I thought was really good. I thought it was nice to bring in Shayna Baszler as Lola Vice training partner. So basically, they're doing this NXT style like underground match. So that's like the idea that they're going with here. So I'm pretty sure this is a good opportunity for Lola Vice to get a nice like spotlighted victory over Natalia, but they have Shayna Baszler there, former NXT Women's Champion. I thought that was cool. So that segment was a lot of fun as well. And then looking at the rest of this card here that I did on Tuesday, Blair Davenport and Sol Ruka, fantastic. A tremendous match. Sol Ruka is going to be a star. If in the ways you can look at Becky Lynch and how she carried herself and how good she like developed from underneath and being like an underdog character, I see those same traits in Sol Ruka. She's going to be a player. I think she's in it for the long run. I think she's going to have a really good run. So I put all my marbles in on Sol Ruka. She's going to be a big time player in NXT and in WWE. And then, we got the matches coming up for next week. JCJ will be taking out Thea Hale. This is a long-awaited grudge match. I mentioned the Natalia Lola Vice NXT Women's Underground match. We have Oma Femi playing his North American title against Ivar. And then the other match that they announced was Axiom and Nathan Frazier having their first title defense as NXT Tag Team Champions against the Authors of Pain. So that's going to be a good lineup. But the main story this week from NXT came from Carmelo Hayes. Not Carmelo Hayes. Trick Williams and Ilya Dragunov. And congratulations are in order to Trick Williams, who's had a tremendous week, man. Look, I saw what Seltzer had to say about Trick Williams, and it should take a rocket science to tell you that Dave Meltzer is a forever CLAHN and somebody that you should take his opinions or analyzations seriously. Trick Williams is that dude, and he put on a barn burner with Ilya Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov can have a 5-star match with a broom, but Trick Williams had his moment. The build-up was there. The crowd there was insane during that match, especially when Trick did that bookend off that barricade through the announce table. That was a really nice spot, and what a special moment for Trick to win that match in the Performance Center like that. I thought it was the right time. Good use to have those type of moments on a TV special like Spring Breaking is. I loved it. I really did. I thought it was a great moment on Tuesday. So, Trick Williams is now your new NXT champion, and now it's probably Ilya Dragunov's send-off for the NXT brand. Trick Williams is the dude, man. Put some respect in the guy's name. And I'm speaking to my colleagues when I say that. So, we did SmackDAHN, Raw, and NXT. Let's go into this mock draft here, okay? I'm going to pull up a couple pictures here before I give you my thoughts on who's going where and yada, yada, yada. So we're going to do this together as a family. So as of now, tomorrow night will be night one of the draft on SmackDown, and from what I've seen so far, they said that SmackDown will get the first pick since it's on SmackDown, but Raw will be having more picks overall collectively due to the fact that Raw is a longer show than SmackDown. But here are the eligible superstars that could be drafted tomorrow. You see here on the screen, we got AJ Styles, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, the Alpha Academy, Andrade, Bianca Belair, Braun Breaker, Cedric Alexander, Shanti Adonis, Ivar, uh, Jay Uso, LA Knight, yeah, Liv Morgan, Nia Jax, Randy Orton, Ricochet. We got Zoe Stark there in the bottom right hand corner. Mia Yim, the Good Brothers, Paul Heyman. Got most of the bloodline there. Tama Tonga, Solo Sikoa, and the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Then we wrap it up here with Sheamus, Shayna Baszler, and Seth Rollins. So that's on the SmackDown side. That's eligible. By the way, for both nights of the draft, superstars from NXT are also eligible to be drafted in the draft this year. And then here's on the Raw side, a much wider range of people to choose from. Braun Strowman, DIY, Apollo Crews, Bronson Reed, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, Chelsea Green, Piper Niven, CM Punk, the Creed Brothers, Ivy Nile. You got Damage Control there, Drew McIntyre, The Final Testament, What's Left of Imperium, Gunther, Finn Balor. So you got other members of the Judgment Day. Damian Priest is excluded from this since he is a World Heavyweight Champion. Katana Chance and Katie Carter, Kevin Owens, Santos Escobar. So we got Legado del Fantasma, Naomi, Natalia, New Catch Republic, New Day, Odyssey Jones, Pretty Deadly, Nakamura, Tegan Knox is there, Bobby Lashley, the Street Profits, and BFAB. Tiffany Stratton here in the bottom left-hand corner there. We got the LWO and Jade Cargill there. So a lot of different options that we could go from here as far as like who's going where, who we could see possibly being drafted from one place to another. I do like the fact that the champions are remaining on a brand, so there's not that much of a confusion. But this is how I would go for the draft this year. And my sole basis of this is the fact that Raw is moving to Netflix. So I think a lot of the bigger star power is going to, I think the bigger wide range of the star power will be going to Raw over SmackDown. So right now, I think for me, I'll say that I can pull up the screen here. Let's start off with SmackDown here. I do believe that the Bloodline will stay. Same thing applies to Braun Breaker. I think there's definitely a good possibility that Randy Orton will be going to Raw. But also, if Randy Orton stays, that's the opportunity where him and Cody can have a feud with each other. So right now, for me personally, I would keep Randy on SmackDown. I do think Nia Jax would be a nice addition to the SmackDown division. A little different pace there. Other ones that I could choose from for SmackDown, I think that Gunther will go to SmackDown. I think that there's a possibility that the Judgment Day could be going to SmackDown. It's possible. It's possible. Definitely could see DIY staying on Raw. I think Kevin Owens is going to go from SmackDown to Raw. As far as like the ladies, like Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair and stuff like that, I don't know about you guys, but I think there's a possibility that these girls are on SmackDown still. I can see maybe you want to have more real estate and have Jade be a feature talent on Raw as it goes to Netflix, but I do think that they'll throw Fox a bone and keep Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair there, especially if they're going down for the tag titles. I believe Nakamura is going to SmackDown. I could go back here on the screen. Say that LA Knight will go to Monday Night Raw. I think Seth Rollins will be going to SmackDown. I believe that AJ Styles will be going to Monday Night Raw, along with the Good Brothers. Chad Gable, sooner or later, Alpha Academy is going to be splitting up. I think Chad Gable will be a standout performer on SmackDown. So you heard that first from me. And I do think that Ricochet will probably go back to SmackDown as well. So those are the ones really off the top of my head for as far as main roster performers are concerned. When it comes to NXT, I do believe that Carmelo Hayes will be on SmackDown. I think that Ilya Dragunov will be on Raw. I believe that if I could look through the rest of the roster here, more or less, I think maybe Baron Corbin will be going to SmackDown. I think Baron Corbin makes his way back to the main roster. And then those are the three NXT people off the top of my head. There's not really any right now in the women's division that I think are going to make that jump right now. But those are the three that could go off the top of my head for sure, that these are people are definitely going to the main roster. Baron Corbin, Carmelo Hayes, and Ilya Dragunov. So those are my picks for them, if you will. Okay, so we got that out of the way, folks. And that is what happened this week in WWE. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a trip to our final edition, a segment that's worthy enough of an Oscar, an Emmy, and any awards above. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another restaurant quality edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Let's start this bad boy off in a 3, a 2, a 1.
Your meat, beat 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 your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living in my time is now. My time is right goddamn now.
Man, what intensity. The quality of the product and the quality of the shows is at an all-time high right now. But I do know that it's a real war between AEW and WWE.
I'm still cashing fat checks, and I am still banging the hottest bitch in this entire place.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what the hell is wrong with AEW? I teased it on Twitter today, but I should have the formal announcement now that this will be the final edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not watch Dynasty live. I heard a couple of things. I saw a couple of highlights. I caught the end of the Young Bucks FTR ladder match where Jack Perry came in and cost FTR the tag titles. And I've heard about the greatest wrestling match of all time, Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson. And congratulations do go out to Swerve Strickland. I've had my criticisms of him, but nothing personal towards him. I am a fan of him as a human being. I'm happy for his grind and his hustle and him having this Swerve City podcast and him being very talented. I love the theme song. And and I think he's a good person. Again, nothing personal towards the guy, but I think some of the way he exited WWE and relying on the dirt sheets to have sympathy for him, I just thought that was kind of weird and kind of similar to Athena. And that's always been my criticism about Swerve Strickland, and it's always been that and nothing more. But I am happy for him, and it's a well deserved moment for him to win the championship. But more importantly, I didn't watch the pay-per-view because I didn't want to. I'm in a moment in my life right now that I'm not doing things that I don't want to or have to. And I'm not going to subject myself to shit that I don't care for anymore. And I'm not going to apologize for it either. So, last night's Dynamite was the final straw for me. Irregardless of the heat or whatever heat you think there is that Jack Perry and the Hardly Boys and Okada are going to get from attacking Tony Khan last night on Dynamite, I'm throwing my hands up in the air and saying that I'm done with this shit. I'm done. This happens far too often for a promotion that claims to offer elite wrestling. And yet, when I watch this show, I feel like I'm watching an independent show run by a carnival owner mixed with shitty production and something that's a ripoff of every other wrestling promotion that's not named WWE. This is low rent. This company is not worth my time and energy. And quite frankly, I'm tired of bringing down the mood of this show to try to entertain you guys by recapping the mud show that we have to sit through each and every single week. I can tolerate a lot of things, but especially for the fact that I'm not getting paid to cover AEW anymore, and I don't have that deep down genuine intrigue or interest to watch their shows, I have no other interest going forward as far as watching AEW. I did not watch Dynasty. And what happened with that segment with Jack Perry attacking Tony Khan was the final straw for me. Let alone that shitty ass angle earlier to show with the learning tree and Chris Jericho, who's probably the worst character in all of television right now in professional wrestling, and it's not even close. It's a waste of fucking time. All that momentum, all that hoopla for Dynasty. You have Will Ospreay winning a mud show gauntlet match to fight Roderick Strong on what's probably your biggest pay-per-view of the year. Great. I'm sure it'll be a good match. Well, who gives a shit? Oh, we got a new shiny toy. Have a win what pay-per-view match? Oh, here, let's put a title on him. I already talked about the Jericho stuff, but especially Swerve Strickland. So they had this homecoming show in Daly's place, and they start out the show with this brawl with Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta, and I'm like, this is how you start off a show following a pay-per-view where people are actually talking good about your product? Not only that, you bring out your world champion next after a brawl and a confrontation that nobody gave two shits about. You bring out your world champion to have a struggled and highly competitive match with a guy from Ring of Honor who's probably 5th ranked in the Don Callis family, and a guy nobody gives two rats ass about. I like Kyle Fletcher. I'm not speaking for myself, but I'm speaking in general. I like Kyle Fletcher. I was a big fan of Aussie Open. I know that he's a good wrestler, but does anybody give a shit about the Don Callis family? Why is this a competitive match with somebody who's a Ring of Honor World Television Champion? And 3, and most importantly, why are you not allowing your champion to speak to the freaking crowd, which you claim this is your home arena? This is where AEW had their rise in Daly's place. And you don't have him cut a promo to start off the show? Oh no, we'll just wait for it for Collision when everybody's drunk and sleeping with God knows who else and doing whatever people do on the weekends. Oh, we're just going to wait after the NBA playoffs to see Swerve Strickland's promo. Good business strategy. Honestly, I'm watching this show last night and I'm like, why am I wasting my time? And now I realize what it was like to watch WCW in the early 2000s, right before the end. And I'm not saying that AEW is going to be going out of business anytime soon or anything like that, or they're in trouble. But for me personally, any bit of hope that I had left when it comes to AEW went out the window when I saw Tony Khan having the main event slot of the television show for him to take a fucking Meltzer driver. Now they're calling it the TK driver. It's embarrassing. And this segment has far over exceeded its welcome. And I have no genuine hope for this promotion, at least creatively. I want people there to be successful. But if it's not MJF and it's not Will Ospreay and it's not appreciating Renee Paquette's waterfall and Saraya as well, I have next to no interest in watching AEW. I'm not going to come on here and waste my time. I'm not going to come here and pop a blood vessel for the stupid shit we have to sit through all the time. And more importantly, I'm just exhausted with the AEW rhetoric and the fans and the sycophants and the debates and I just don't give a shit anymore. I don't care about their product, and I don't even know at this point if MGF could keep me interested in AEW. So with that being said, this is indeed the final edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. So congratulations, everybody. I'm done with this shit. And on that note, that is What the Hell is Wrong with AEW this week.
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Alright, folks. That is a wrap up for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. And I want to thank Brother Carter for helping us get this segment off the ground and making it what it is. But I have to be honest with myself, and I just don't have time for this crap anymore. You guys want to enjoy Outlaw Mud Show Wrestling and Dirt Sheet Vanity projects? That's your priority. But for me, I actually want to enjoy professional wrestling, and these clowns are wasting my time every single Wednesday, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, there you go. On that note, let's get into another segment here before we get to our main event segment. And we do this every single week. And it's time to crown a new winner of this week's CLAHN of the Week.
I'm not CLAHN. You're big CLAHN.
One more time for good minute.
I'm not CLAHN. You're big CLAHN.
Ladies and gentlemen, this week's winner of the CLAHN of the Week is a very first one here on the Hoots Podcast. It goes to an entire city. The CLAHN of the Week this week goes to the city of Chicago. The gun violence that I've been hearing about, where we're having people getting shot up 30 times. Another person a couple weeks ago got shot 90 times. The gun violence is getting out of control here. Secondly, just the aura of the city. I'm sick of it. I'm at my wit's end of living here. And thirdly, yesterday, this press conference about the Bears' new stadium and trying to convince people to add more tax revenue in the city, where the city's already shot in regards to our overall finances, and trying to come up with this museum campus with a dome stadium next to it with no parking. If that's the best sketch they could have for a stadium, why are we having a ripoff of Allegiant Stadium? If that's the best that we could do for the city of Chicago. I'm not going to come here and say that I don't believe that Kevin Warren is not genuine with his feelings about wanting Chicago to be a more attractive destination for sporting events and stuff like that. I get what he's trying to say with that, and that, yes, the city does deserve Final Fours, big-time events, WrestleMania, etc., etc. We should have an indoor stadium, a big-time stadium on the lakefront. It is one of the most beautiful parts about the city, the downtown area, the lakefront, Lake Michigan. It is one of the most beautiful parts of the world. There's a lot of things about the city that I take a lot of great pride in, and how I carry myself as a human being, my upbringing. Like, there's a lot of things that I'm very proud of. I wear Chicago on my heart and my sleeve. But this city has its problems, and we have a lot of problems, and our priority should not be building another stadium that's not up to par with the other bigger stadiums on these bigger markets and causing more issues that we don't need to. What's wrong with Arlington Heights? And this city just does not have the priorities on what their priorities should be on. No, it doesn't matter that the White Sox want to build a new stadium. No, it doesn't matter that the Bears want to build a new stadium. How about we fix our fucking city first with this gun violence and these car robberies? How about that? How about doing something where we stop having people bringing guns in from Indiana and not doing anything about it? I could go on a big old tirade, and I don't want to get into that right now, but I've had it up to here with a lot of things that comes with this city, and I'm just ready to go. So overall, the city of Chicago, you are definitely the CLAHN of the week.
I'm not CLAHN. CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we got one more segment to do on the podcast this week, and it's time to get to our main event segment. As we do each and every single week, it's time to take a trip into the Back Porch Q&A session right here on the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hoots Podcast, everybody. One more segment to do here on the podcast this week as we answer questions from this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session, one of my favorite parts of the show. Not because it's the end of the show, but it's my opportunity to interact with you guys and answer the questions that you sent towards my way. I really appreciate anybody that does still care about this show and still wants to give my opinions on things. I really do appreciate it, and it means the world to me, so I really do appreciate it. Let's take a look here at the questions this week. We've got questions this week from the good brother at Chris Zaletta, at XTeensLetta24X. Throw up the X for Chris. Also, Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. We got questions from him this week, which is nice to see. And for those who are watching this recording live, you can ask me questions as well. I appreciate it. If anybody that's watching on YouTube, please do me a favor and like this video and subscribe. I do appreciate the support. And same thing here on Facebook. Like the video and share with your friends. So I appreciate everybody. Check out this live recording of episode 410 of the Hoots Podcast. With that being said, let's answer some questions this week. As we usually do, for ritual, we do here with the good brother Chris Zaletta. He says, "What up, Who's here? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Who do your Bears take at 9?" Well, I am stuck between Rome Odunze, um, the left tackle from Penn State, or Dallas Turner. Those are my 3 picks, and then maybe an outside idea of Jared Verse. I do not think the Bears are going to trade down. I don't think it's a bad idea if they do trade down and they want to get more draft picks. We only have 4 picks in this draft this year, but for me personally, I do believe that the Bears will go with the Dunze at 9 and get a big time receiver that you can link up with the same contract window as Caleb Williams. So I'm going to go with Rome Dunze from Washington. Do you think Chris Statlander attacked Willow and Mercedes? Yes. They made that super obvious last night. So yeah, it's definitely Chris Statlander. Your thoughts overall on the Tiger Driver 91? Should Ospreay stop using it? Yes, he should stop using it. And also, is there a Tiger Driver 92, 93, 95, 96, 90 your mama's asshole? Is there another Tiger Driver move out there that doesn't get somebody in a position where they could possibly be paralyzed? Stop doing that fucking move. If you're not going to do it properly and you're injuring people, stop doing it. So that's that. Thoughts on some of the WWE releases this past week? It's the same thing as anytime we see releases in the WWE. It's not something that makes me happy. I don't like seeing people lose their jobs, but it also comes to the territory, and I wish all of them the best of luck in their future. I saw the video from Trevor Lee, formerly known as Cameron Grimes, and I feel really bad for him. And obviously, he admitted that's the place that he wanted to be. And he said verbatim that WWE was his dream job. So to see the emotion on his face and being overwhelmed in that manner for the fact that he could not keep his job is terrible. I feel really bad for him. It's unfortunate. But I know he'll get back on his feet because he's a very talented wrestler, and he's going to make the best out of it, so I'm not too concerned. Does Randy Orton help KO? Does Randy Orton help KO with the bloodline problem? Possibly. I can see that for sure. Thoughts in the last 3 matches at Dynasty? Chris, I only saw the tail end of the Bucks FTR match, and I didn't watch most of the pay-per-view, so I can't really help you with that, brother. So I apologize for that. Have had this discussion with some of the boys. Do you think Kenny Omega will consider / end up in WWE after his current deal is up? Probably not, Chris, but he should. That's all I'll say about it. I think Kenny Olivier should consider going to WWE after his current deal is up. But we'll leave it up to his hands. I think there's still money on the table that could have been done with CM Punk in AEW that now you could do in WWE. But that's up to Kenny Omega and what he wants for himself. Honestly, there's really nothing else left for him to do there. He's already been the champion. He's already been tag team champion. He's done almost everything under the sun in that promotion. I don't know what else you want him to do there. So, I think he should consider. Should New Japan go back to the original design IWGP Heavyweight Championship? Yes. Thoughts on Reggie Bush finally getting his Heisman back? In the words of LeBron James, it's about that time, for sure. Will Swerve be champion come all in? That's a good question. I think he will. I think there'll be some things getting in the way of MJF whenever he does come back. So maybe you can do Swerve and MJF at All In, and then MJF could fight off the Undisputed Era in between that time period. But yes, I do think Swerve Strickland will walk into Wembley Stadium as the champion. I do believe that. Who will Trick Williams' first challenger be as NXT champion? That's a good question. It's really a toss-up here on my end. You have good choices, but right now I'm more leaning towards Dijak to be the guy to go after Trick Williams. I think Dijak and Trick Williams will probably be the next big feud for Trick. So that's my guess. I don't think it's Joe Gacy. It's a little early for Lexis King. It's not Sean Spears. So I'm gonna say either Tony D'Angelo or Dijak. That would be my picks. So who knows? Maybe somebody from the main roster goes to NXT and feuds with Trick Williams. We'll have to see. Maybe it's Baron Corbin against Trick Williams. We'll have to see. Final question here for Chris. He says, what happened with appearing on Raw? Will there be a third member? Dragunov, maybe. With what happened with the period, will there be a new third member and Dragunov, maybe? I'm going to say yes to both questions. I don't know who. I think Dragunov will be a nice addition to the group in a way that Dragunov can use Gunther. And then when these two actually have a match with each other down the road, everybody will be losing their shit when Dragunov and Gunther fight each other on the main roster. So, yes to both of those questions. But I want to thank you, Chris, for the questions this week. Brother, you killed it as always. Appreciate you, buddy. Let's take a look here for the questions here from a good brother, Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. He says, what up, Oos? Hope you're getting ready for the draft. NFL and WWE, I am. Here are some questions for the back porch. What's the most beautiful place to visit in Chicago? Fantastic question. Well, if you're a wrestling fan, I would say the Rosemont Horizon. But also, if you just like being in the city, I like to say the downtown area, and then walking over the bridges over these bigger architectures like around Michigan Avenue. It's definitely my favorite parts of the city. And yeah, those specifically are the ones that I go to all the time. So that'd be my pick. Who do you think the Bears draft after being on the clock first tonight? I think it'll probably be Caleb Williams. I don't see him trading the first pick. I'll be shocked. I will. It's been kind of obvious that they're leaning it towards that direction of Caleb being the quarterback. I'll be surprised if he's not the first quarterback taken there. So I think it will be Caleb Williams. Jacob Fatu is rumored to debut in WWE much sooner than most people thought. So where would you like him to debut and how? Well, I think right now, when it comes to the bloodline, first we have to see who's going to start coming after Solo and Tama Tonga to try to fight them off until Roman Reigns comes back. So maybe in this situation, you have Randy Orton and KO with each other, and maybe that's where Jacob Fatu comes in along the way after the Saudi Arabia show, and he links up with Solo and Tama Tonga, and that's the new bloodline, right? You know, you have those three with The Rock, and then you could do Roman, the Usos, and have Sammy come back and reunite the real bloodline, and then these guys, they lose their shit in the bloodline war games. You know, you can do something like that. Have you seen Northwestern's football field on the beach and the view behind the field? This could be a few fun years while the new stadium is being built. No, Mike, I have not. I try my best not to be like watching the news all the time. I'm not really into it. It gets depressing after a while, but I definitely have to look that out for myself because I am a Northwestern fan. I'm not the biggest college sports fan, but if I were to root for somebody, I would root for the Northwestern Wildcats because my mom used to work in that area doing mail delivery stuff, and I always like the colors of the Wildcats. My two favorite colors, purple and black. So there you go. That's a good question, though. I appreciate you asking me that. All right, let's go to the next one here. You got to love a guy's confidence in trying to be a game changer, but is Caleb Williams a Clown of the Week candidate or what? Breaking Tom Brady's Super Bowl record, really? Yes. It's not a bad idea for him to be a Clown of the Week. I will say that. I think that Caleb Williams is definitely worthy of being a Clown of the Week for that type of comment, but you can't expect people to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. So I'll leave it at that. Let's continue on here. We've got some good questions so far. Fallon Henley has had some breakout performances lately. Could she be drafted to Raw or SmackDown, or do you see her having a women's title program in NXT, whether win or lose? Honestly, Mike, the two women from NXT that I think the most could probably be joining the main roster are either Kiana James or Fallon Henley. Now, which brand they're on is a totally different story. I think that Fallon Henley would do very well on Raw, and I think that Kiana James would be a fit on SmackDown. So those would be my picks there. And who knows, maybe you could do something where Tiffany Stratton and then Kiana James are a tag team with each other. Their egos mesh well with each other, so why the hell not? Is it fair to say we stinks, and by we, I mean the Astros? Brother, I'll just make it really simple for you. Both of our teams are ass. We, the stinks, we, the ass. We don't have enough paper bags a la Cody Rhodes from 2011. We do not have enough paper bags to hide the ineptitude of our baseball teams. And the entire city of Chicago sports team are going down the drain. So, yes, we stinks. Supposedly, the new storyline is being written for the Bloodline now, so maybe we're in the third inning of a new game. Also, what would you like to see happen in this new iteration? Honestly, if we're going to get something with The Rock and Roman, I do think there's the possibility that Roman comes back as a babyface, but I would like to see something where, like maybe you have like a out of the ring like package or something where there's like this big family reunion and The Rock gets talked down to by his mother and by the Wild Samoans, and his ego's out of control as the final boss. Like his ego is so out of control that Roman, even though he was starting to lose himself in a way, he realizes what his true meaning is within the bloodline, and to take him out and be the conquering hero of the family. That's how I would go about it. But it has to be personal. I would love to see something if The Rock's mom were to like pop up on screen and put her son on, like set her son straight. I think that would be really cool. I really do. So that's how I would go about it. But that's a good question, though. Let's see what else here. Is it just me, or is AEW on the way to some overhyped pay-per-view with a half-full audience and a con in every corner? Oh, my God. Oh, God. Mike, why do you have to put that out in the universe? Oh, my God. No. By the way, I understand the press. A lot of people were not happy about that whole four-way thing at WrestleMania 2000. That's actually one of my favorite matches. Not all-time favorite matches, but I like that match with the four-way. Some people didn't. But no, I don't need to see a con in every corner in the AEW match. Hell no. And if anything, knowing my luck, Orange Cassidy would be involved in that match. So please, Mike, never put that out in the universe ever again. Please. WrestleMania is rumored to be moving to May. Are you down for WrestleMania? Especially if in a Northern Open Stadium location. Hey, you don't have to ask twice. If there was a possibility that a WrestleMania was on my birthday, which for those who don't know, my birthday is on May 7th, you're goddamn right. I would love to have a WrestleMania in May. And if it's in the Midwest, you're damn right I would be there. So, like, honestly, I would be there if WrestleMania was there in the May, whether it's May 6th or May 7th. I would be there in a heartbeat. That's a great question. Last question for the Q&A this week. He says, my doctoral semester is coming to a long-awaited ending. So with that, what is the most tired you have ever been? Ah, man, that's a great question. I think, Mike, personally for me, the most tired I've ever been was coming off the heels of a Wrestle Kingdom weekend. I think it was in 2022. There's like a string of shows where I had to do a a TNA pay-per-view, Wrestle Kingdom, a podcast. There was an NWA pay-per-view that weekend, plus the WWE Day 1 show. I was there as well. I covered 13 wrestling shows the first week of 2022. And it was almost 80 hours of wrestling. That's the most tired I've ever been within my career. Oh man, we got a late question here. The good brother Oos here, Anthony DeStefano. By the way, support my good brother's podcast. Make sure to check it out. He has a great podcast with his wife, and they talk about Disney and a lot of fun stuff, brother. I appreciate you for the love. Anthony says here, do you swerve when you drive? Yes. I don't. Well, technically, I don't drive, but if I were to drive, I would swerve when I drive. And honestly, I probably would have that song on a loop if I if I was driving, because that song is a banger. Like, you could vibe with it if you're like depressed in the morning and you just need like some motivation. You could rock with it if you're driving around at night or whatever. If you're on a long road trip, hell, you could listen to that damn song for 2 hours if you wanted to. So yes, definitely for sure, I would swerve if I drive. That's a good question, my man. Also, I would actually like do like a roll call of like Taylor Swift and Linkin Park songs. Is just a whole bunch of different like music that I would listen to if I was driving. Swerve's the man. I hope there's a way. Maybe he has like a larger album to come out down the road. I would check it out. But the guy is so versatile with his talents that he could be a crossover star, man. Whether he gets the opportunity to see that through, that's another thing that we have to look out for. But for sure, Swerve Strickland is the man, and I'm very happy for his success. It's definitely well overdue. So, one more thing I wanted to do here before we wrap up the podcast this week, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Tortured Poets Department. The album just came out last Friday. I guess you could technically call me a Swiftie if you want. Like, I probably know like 70 Taylor Swift songs on the guitar at this point. I'm not ashamed of it. It's not a bad thing. But when it comes to her music, man, it's just like, she's like here. I was talking about it with a friend the other day, but like for me, Taylor Swift right now is at the same level as Michael Jackson was. Now, for those who don't know, I was born in the mid-90s. I was born in 1994. I did not get to embrace Michael Jackson at his peak during the Thriller and Bad era. You know, I wasn't born in the 80s. I didn't get to experience that. You know what I mean? But to see where she is right now, the records she's selling, the fact that like that's top 10 of the Spotify charts filled with almost every other song for the album, which is insane. It's wild, man. Ant says here with the broken heart and Down Better so far for sure. I really like the Black Dog. That's one of my favorites so far. LOML is a good one as well. And what was the other one? The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived was another fun one to play on the guitar. The reason I brought this up, I did want to put Taylor Swift over, but at the same time, I wanted to, share something with you guys. I wanted to share a little bit of the guitar cover that I did for Fortnite, which, in my opinion, may be the best song of the year so far. I like Post Malone. I'm more surprised of how good of a harmony singer he is. That Fortnite song is on another level, and I knew I had to do a cover of it, and I wanted to share with you guys to wrap up this week's show. So if that's okay, I'm going to play my guitar cover from Fortnite and share with you guys if you want to check it out. So let's do this right now, actually. All right, let's play this for you. This is my cover of Fortnite with Taylor Swift and Post Malone.
Supposed to be sent away, but they forgot to come and get me. I was a functioning alcoholic, so nobody noticed when I knew this that all of this to say, I hope you're okay, but you had a reason. No one is to blame, but your treason. And for a fortnight, they were forever running to sometimes. Whoever night in my back, into good neighbors, so I thought was flowers. I wanna kill her.
Bam! There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is my cover of Fortnite, Taylor Swift for the Torture Post Department. Fantastic album. I'm not even done with it yet. There's like, I don't know, 30 or 35 songs in total. I'm not done with it yet, but there's still a lot more to check out. I'm going to be doing some more covers for that album this weekend on Instagram. You can check those, and you can see that cover in full screen if you like at Joshie Lopez Music. And folks, you can follow me on Twitter as well at the Hoots Podcast. Make sure to check out the Resilience Podcast. Episode 2 will be dropping next week, so be on the lookout for that. It should be a lot of fun. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Hope you guys enjoyed the draft tonight. Don't forget, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself, the man upstairs. Also, don't forget, you can check out my transcripts at Wrestling Headlines .com in the results section, and I'll be covering the WWE draft these next couple of shows. And next week we'll be doing our preview for the Backlash PLE in France, and then the week after, your boy turns 30. So a lot of fun things to look forward to in the next couple of weeks, and I appreciate you all for hanging out with me today. This was a fun episode, and I love you all. Have a wonderful weekend. I want to thank everybody who interacted with us live and liked the video and all that fun stuff. I appreciate you all. I love you. Enjoy the draft tonight for the NFL, and enjoy the WWE draft as well. And we'll recap it here next week on the Hoots Podcast. We'll see y'all next week. All right. Yeet.